Well, hello there. In this video, I will be going over 5 Backrooms levels that you forgot existed. Or maybe you just have dementia. These are lesser known levels that have slipped through the cracks in the lore, and also the cracks in your mind. They exist very deep inside of the Backrooms complex, and they're rarely talked about on the surface still to this day. They're empty, they're rotten, yet they're liminal and they're dreamy, all at once. Since the Backrooms is infinite, it's pretty hard to keep up with all of the levels, which is why I wanted to make this video for you here today, maybe to give you some nostalgia, maybe to bring back those feelings of the early Backrooms. So if you enjoy all of this, or any of it at all, and you want more in this style, please leave a like. If this video gets 10,000 likes, I will make a video about forgotten Backrooms entities, if it gets 10,000 likes. But with all that said, grab some peppermint bark, grab some hot chocolate, sit back and relax, dim the lights, and let's get into this nostalgia, shall we? Backrooms Level Pi is classified as a Class 2E difficulty and is pretty unsafe with non-entity hazards. So you're not going to have to worry about a wretch chasing you, you're going to have to worry about the level hurting you. That's all you need to know. Level Pi is actually a sub-level that is thought to exist between levels 3 and level 4. The level's physical appearance is pretty unique to all the other levels that I've gone over. It looks like this bright, bold expanse of hills. The grass, the sky, the clouds, all of it is set to the highest saturation possible, which just means that all of the colors are literally as bold as they can physically be. The hills here are so round in some spots that it's impossible to climb up them, so they're kind of just like spheres sticking out of the ground. And also some of the hills are coming out of the ground at such unnatural ways, or they're slanted in really strange angles, that it doesn't even like make any comprehensible sense to your brain. You literally cannot even fathom it. It all just adds to how trippy the level is. The hills and slopes almost act like ocean waves, but instead of water, it's grass. There are also freshly paved asphalt roads that wind around the hills as well, and these roads curve and follow them, all the slopes and turns and everything. Even the ones that don't make any sense, there's still roads going up them. But some of the roads seem to randomly end or curve and then just stop, which is pretty strange. So pretty much the hills and the roads are so curvy and windy and wavy that it would be hard for your brain to even understand what you're looking at. Not to mention how bright and saturated everything is. The most common thing on this level, besides those hills and roads, are the multicolored gas stations. And these are placed on really strange locations. In fact, it doesn't even seem possible to have buildings where these are. But hey, that's the Backrooms for you. They're put on direct hillsides, on top of hills, on the sides of hills, in the valleys, literally anywhere. Even if it doesn't even seem possible for a building to exist, they're gonna be there. The one constant with these gas stations is that they'll always be near a road to some degree. Now, inside of the gas stations, there is legitimately no sign of any human life, but each of them is perfectly bright and clean and spotless. There are things on the shelves too, but they never move, and you can't move them. It's almost like they're stuck in time. The actual brands of the gas stations that are here on the level do not exist in real life. Like it's a completely new, random brand that no one has ever seen before, which almost makes it creepier, in my opinion. The names and logos are just out of the world, like they've never been seen before. However, even after all that, I think that the weirdest thing on this level is that sometimes a random fog will appear and start to roll over the hills. This fog kind of hovers and slithers its way around the hills, and when it gets near you, you can see that the saturation of the level gets lower, kind of like it lessens the color's vibrancy. And the area near this fog gets really pixely when it passes by, almost like the level has a low resolution when the fog is there, or something like that. Pretty spooky. This misty fog is the biggest environmental danger of the level because it's toxic to breathe in. Like, bad toxic. You can avoid the mist by trying to get inside a gas station, but if you don't, well, you know what happens. There are no outposts here, but there was rumored to be a few. However, no one knows if there actually was, or if the outpost just vanished somehow, or who knows what happened to them. There are also no entities, and to enter this level, you can find a door in level 51 that opens to show you this place. Now, this door is random, so you're gonna have to open a ton of different ones to find it, but hey, be my guest. And to exit, there isn't one set in stone yet. Most people just randomly get sent away, kind of like the level chooses who stays and goes, so if you do get here, you're stuck. Have fun! The Promised Land is classified as a Class 0, and is extremely safe and secure, and it actually used to be considered a level only in legends or tales, because no one actually knew if it existed or not. But now it's been pretty much explored extensively, so most of the level is documented. The level itself is a huge building with exactly 300 floors and around 1,000 rooms that are spread throughout. And each floor has these pink glowing lights in the ceilings, which would drive me crazy to be honest, but whatever. These lights have been known to randomly turn on or off, so just be aware of that. And all the floors have windows that look out to the outside area, and when it turns daylight outside, the curtains and the windows will disappear, and a floor made out of clouds will appear directly outside the window. Kinda like the floor of level Zenith. This cloud floor actually has these trees that grows in the ground, and they produce a weird fruit, which you can actually eat. The day-night cycle here is pretty much the same as real life, so the windows disappear during the day, but they'll reappear at nighttime. I mentioned earlier that there are over 1,000 room types, so here are some of them. There are bedrooms, living rooms, kitchens, dining rooms, bathrooms, infirmaries, lounges, shops, an outside area, nightclub area, the business area, and the Promised Land Resort. Each of these areas are pretty much exactly how their name sounds, so I'm not going to describe them, like the bedrooms, the dining rooms, the dining rooms. It's pretty simple. Now, a common question asked is, well, where did the Promised Land come from, or how did it get figured out? Well, according to the fandom, the level's first ever mention was found on a note in level 0 near a ripped partygoer's mask. The note said, quote, "The last of us are here," and there was a picture of the Promised Land level next to it. Now, nearby that note, there was a book called The Promised Land that pretty much had all of the level's explanation inside of it. Obviously, the level is really chill, and as soon as the book was read, rumors of this sanctuary level spread quickly throughout the backrooms. So lots of people tried to get there, but very few did. There are only 2 entities here, and those are the cloud trees, which I mentioned earlier, and storks, which are pretty much storks from real life, except they're more intelligent and tameable. As far as bases here, there are actually a few. The first one is the Backrooms Colonists, which is just a conglomerate of colonies that are loosely linked together. Then there are the Forgiven FOJs, which is a group of the followers of Jerry that somehow got to the level. And as always, they're nice unless you talk trash about Jerry. Lastly, there is the Reliquae Outpost, not sure if that's how you pronounce it, which is just an outpost of soldiers that fought in a war that actually happened on this level a long time ago called the Summer War. To enter this level, you can dive through a painting on level 384, but just like all of the entrances I'm about to say, it's extremely rare for them to work. And there's also a rumor that no clipping into a pink light on level -150 will work, but again, just a rumor. It's thought that you can also fall downstairs on that big long numbered level that I went over a few months ago to get here. But as always, you just gotta get lucky. To exit this level, you'll actually be exiting the backrooms, so you just gotta find a door labeled exit, and when you walk through that door, you'll be at the same place where you entered the backrooms from. Pretty cool. This might be one of my favorite theorized exits because it's literally so rare. I feel like it's kind of a myth in a way, you know? Pretty cool. Now, unlike most other levels I've covered, there's actually been some documented expeditions to try to find how to get here. There are 6 expeditions, and the first one was made by 4 members of the Republic back in 2004. They were sent back to level 0 after making it to level 1051. Now, the second and third expeditions were not documented, but the 4th one was. This one was made by 7 people from the Backrooms Colonist group. It happened last year in 2021, and this is marked as the first conclusive, successful mission to get to the Promised Land. Because when the group made it to level 384, where that painting is, which by the way is an extremely safe level, a member of the group disappeared. And it's thought that they went through the painting and made it to the Promised Land, and feasibly out of the Backrooms. The 5th expedition had 5 more explorers no-clip into the painting on level 384, and they haven't been heard from since. So it's just thought they either made it, or they're somewhere else. The last expedition had 17 explorers, and it's officially known that 4 of them are currently in the Promised Land and have not escaped the Backrooms. Cool. First up for the video is called level 981, or False Tranquility. Level 981 is classified as a class dead zone because of a bunch of environmental dangers and an anomalous, powerful entity that lives here that I'll talk about in a second. The level itself looks pretty safe actually when you first get here. You'll see a nice scenic sidewalk that has cherry blossom trees on each side and fresh green grass as well. This path goes on forever in forward direction and the backwards direction, so you're just taking a nice stroll in this level, right? Wrong. At the beginning, you'll think this level is safe, until you start to stay here for longer. Because once you stop looking at those pretty trees, you'll notice that you can't actually leave the path to get to the grass, so you're kind of stuck on this one sidewalk, and that there's an invisible barrier keeping you on this sidewalk. You'll also start to feel electricity in the air, and this electric field around you. And then after about 10 minutes of feeling that stuff, those cherry blossom trees will emit a toxin into the air that's extremely dangerous. When you breathe in this toxin, which you literally will have to, because you can't run away, you're stuck on the sidewalk, you'll start to notice a change in the level. A very dark change, you could say. Its pretty trees and grass in the sky will change to empty trees, dead grass, and a gray sky, and every alive thing from earlier will start to look decayed. The nice path you were on will turn into an old wooden plank path, and it's rotting and cracking and full of termites. After an hour of being exposed to this toxin and on this level, you'll start to get very, very paranoid about everything. The trees will start to look like they're moving around and walking and trying to grab you, and the pathway will look different too. And scariest of all, you'll start to see a figure dashing between trees on each side of the path. It's moving so fast that you really can't see what it is, but you kinda can, just not for sure. And this figure is called the Pestilence Keeper. Almost nothing is known about this entity's motives or about the entity in general, but what is known is that it's a pretty tall humanoid shape that has a huge swarm of bugs that make up the outside of its body. The entity is seemingly waiting for you to give up from all the paranoia and craziness that you're experiencing from this toxin, and to just lay down and stop moving so it can attack you. Now once this entity starts dashing around, everything in the level is starting to go pitch black. The ground is covered in tar and the grass isn't even there anymore, and the sky is brown and black, and everything is fully decomposed. And the Pestilence Keeper is slowly walking towards you as the level decomposes around you. Nice. There is no outpost here, obviously, and to enter this level, you have to fall asleep on level 39 under a cherry blossom tree, and to exit, well, good luck finding one. Next for the video is Level Heaven from Capitan Pavel. This level has a survival difficulty of 0 and is safe and secure with no creatures. Level Heaven looks like an endless swirling maze of hallways and walls and roofs, all of them being made out of glass. The floor of the level is light gray and is the only thing that isn't actually glass. Since the walls and the ceilings are see-through, well, you can see outside, and what you'll see is a very relaxing, pretty sky. And in the sky, you'll see clouds and that kind of deal, and it's normally perfectly blue. There are not any entities in this level, it's just you, and hundreds of miles of huge glass hallways looking out over an infinite sky. It's pretty chill if you ask me. To enter this level, well, this is when it gets tricky because you have to unalive. which is actually why this place is called heaven, because there is a small chance that you'll be sent here if you do unalive in the backrooms, because no one really knows where a person goes if they kick the bucket in the backrooms, but it is known that being sent to this level, heaven, is a possibility. To exit the level, you have to walk for miles and miles until you find a black door, which will just randomly appear. Once you find that black door, you have to open it up, and you'll be sent out of the level. Pretty neat, but I wouldn't try to unalive just to come here. Backrooms level 148, aka the living level, is classified as a class 5B, which means it's unsafe, unsecure, and has environmental dangers. Really bad environmental dangers. So just based off of its name, you can tell that this level feels almost like it's alive, because it has this very weird ability to change itself in shape, size, and even change all objects inside of itself. And this level makes those changes happen whenever it senses movement. Even movement as small as your footsteps can make the level warp and change itself. Now, you might be asking yourself, what does this mean? Well, why does the level change itself? Well, no one really knows, of course, but the main theory is that this level is some sort of intelligent entity. And not only does the level have intelligence, it uses that intelligence to manipulate and actively do things with malicious or bad intentions. So it uses 100% of its intelligence to try to hurt wanderers that get sent here. One person even claimed that the level talked to them with an actual voice, but who knows if that's true, because people could just go insane in the backrooms and start hearing stuff. But I think it is true. You're about to hear why. So there are two different states that this level can be in. The first is called the basic state, and the second is called the alarm state. In this basic state, the level looks like a bunch of randomly put together halls and open rooms and corridors that are made out of concrete or concrete blocks, and some concrete staircases, as well as some random voids that are out of the walls, but pretty much it's just a labyrinth of claustrophobic concrete hallways. And an interesting note is that even in this basic state, things like smiler repellent and other useful substances have no effect here. They don't even work. It's like the level suppresses them. The next state is the alarm state, and during this alarm state, the level is at its most dangerous part. This is when the entire thing is awake and is causing the most chaos. If you remember when I said earlier that the level might be an entity with intelligence, yeah, this alarm state is when the entity wakes up. If you're running around the level or you're walking loudly, the entity will be able to sense your vibrations and will change the room or hallway or staircase into something dangerous and even deadly to try to trap you or unalive you. On top of this level being angry towards you and actively trying to unalive you during the alarm stage, the lights are also turned off. So, that's just fun. And it gets even worse. Just wait till the traps section of this video. The best thing to do during this alarm stage is to just sit down somewhere in the smallest and most enclosed space you can find. That way, the level can't hear your vibrations or your footsteps or anything, and then you can just wait it out. Both the basic state and the alarm state can last anywhere from a few hours to several days. So it's advised that no one should come to the level without proper supplies. Or, just don't come to the level at all, and you won't have to worry about it. As I said earlier, the level is called the living level, and it's for more reasons than what I just told you. Yes, the level can do even more than hunt you and try to change itself to hurt you even more, and I'm going to explain why right now. It can also feel things and communicate with you in weird ways. One documented way is that the level can write on its own walls in English to the Wanderer. When this happened, it was at its basic state and it wasn't attacking the Wanderer, so it's unknown why it tried to contact that person, but yeah. In another sick and twisted example of this level just being plain mean, it also manifests fake exits in its walls in the form of the mimic entity, which is just a fake door that can lead to a high fall or to a void where you're doomed to be there forever. And these doors are random and they're unmarked, and if you go in them, the mimic entity will consume you, so I just recommend not opening any doors here. The level has no actual vision or eyes or anything like that, and it seems to only be able to find people and objects through vibrations. So your best bet is to move slowly and carefully and to make as little noise as possible to get out of here alive. Now is the trap section of the video, and I'm going to be going over the specific level traps that this entity and intelligent thing tries to put you in. The first one is called the Flood, and it happens in random hallways and random rooms and corridors, but the level pretty much floods that hall or room with freezing cold water all the way to the ceiling with hopes of getting you stuck in it and drowning. So if you hear a rumble or see a rush of water coming, run the opposite way and get as high up as possible. The second trap is called the Squeeze, and it's like those rooms that squeeze together slowly, except on this level, the walls and the ceilings and the floor all close in on each other to try to crush you. This crush can happen in hallways and rooms, so if it starts happening, try to get out of there before you become a pancake. The next trap is the Swivel, which is where the room or hallway you're in bends and curves like kind of a wringing out of a washcloth. Everything is distorted and curved, and it can hurt you pretty bad if you're not careful. Next is another dangerous trap, where the level introduces mental issues by trying to control your brain and talking to you. Ugh. And then there's the Fire trap, where a huge section or the entire hallway you're in is set on fire. So yeah, not fun at all. But this might be the most innately dangerous level. There's one person of interest who's stuck on this level, named Knox, and he's the one who discovered it in the first place. Now, he's not involved with any Backrooms organization like Meg, he's just a guy who was unfortunate enough to get sent here and get stuck. Even though other people have been here and escaped, Knox can't, and since the escape is random, you have no choice over it. Interestingly enough, this level actually seems to talk to Knox more than any other person who's been here, which means the level is smart enough to develop a relationship, which is kinda cool, I guess. There is one base here called the Dome, and it's where Knox lives. Now, the dome is accessed by tiny crawl spaces, which all lead to this small dome-shaped ceiling room. And like I said, this is where Knox stays, and if you can get there, you should be pretty safe. To enter this level, first off, you shouldn't. But if you can't help it, you have to go. You can no-clip through any floor of a basement-type area and be sent here. And to exit, you have to accidentally be no-clipped out. You have no choice, it just randomly happens or it doesn't. And only a few people have been able to do it. So, good luck. Backrooms level 159 is classified as a class 3 difficulty and is unsafe and unsecure, very unsafe by the way, with a medium entity count. But the entities that are here can be pretty dangerous. The level itself looks like an old-style American town that's around 1,900 miles in size, or 3,000 kilometers. So it's pretty big, like a really big town. For reference, Phoenix, Arizona is only 830 kilometers in size, and London is only 1,700 kilometers in size. So it's literally twice as big as London. Cool. The architectural style of the town is a late 80s to early 90s American style, and most of the buildings here fit that theme. The ground is very flat, except for a few spots, and there are also a few spots with trees and shrubs dotted throughout the entire area. And all of the trees and stuff are dead because it's always snowy and the ground is frozen most of the time, with snowstorms being very common. This level actually seems to be always snowing, but the weird thing is it never gets deeper than 4 centimeters, even though it's always snowing. No clue where the snow goes or how it doesn't accumulate anymore, but it doesn't. It also doesn't even matter if there are clouds in the sky or not, because it'll snow either way. No clouds, daytime, whenever, which is pretty spooky if you ask me. It hovers around freezing in the outdoor parts of the level, but when you're inside the buildings, it's typically around 10 degrees warmer, which isn't much warmer, but at least you won't freeze. The level has a wide range of normal entities that are found in other Backrooms levels, like wretches, hounds, and that kind of thing. And there are also some very dangerous entities that are specific to this level only, and I'll get into those in the entities section of the video. But for now, I want to talk about the unique locations and environments that this level has to offer, because they're insane. Like, literally, insane. Gas stations are the first location that I want to talk about, and these buildings should not be entered or even walked up to because of how dangerous the creatures can be that spawn inside of them. The shelves inside of these stores actually have some food and stuff on them, like real-life gas stations, but again, don't go in, no matter how tempting it is. So, playgrounds are the next location, and they look like your normal play sets from real life. life. Except these are not located inside of parks or fields, like you would see here. They're in completely random places, like on top of buildings or just right in the middle of the road. And no matter where they are, there's always tables and mulch surrounding them. And it's inside of these playgrounds that the snow melts on contact with the ground. No one knows why, it just does. The creation pits, or just the pits, are the next place in the level, and this is where it gets crazy. These are huge bunkers that have been found underground throughout the level. They were discovered because of cylinder-shaped air vents sticking out of the ground. And when they were entered, a strange discovery was made. These bunkers, or pits, are full of extremely advanced technology that's unlike anything anyone's ever seen before. There are fluid tanks that have weird creatures in them. There are computers that are self-sufficient and doing things on their own. These computers create entities. Yes, you heard that right. They create and produce entities. Almost like a 3D printer, but for biological stuff. After one of these entities is fully done and created, the pod of liquid that they were in will be launched out of the bunker into the sky, and then it'll crash somewhere else in the level. Interestingly enough, across this level there's been bones and full skeletons of primates just laying around or partially buried, which is very cryptic and dark if you ask me. Did the creator of this technology just wipe out all the primates that were here, or did they get primates from Earth to do experiments on to create these entities? Who knows? The last two locations are pretty simple. One is the Forgotten Mall, which is a large mall with different off-brand stores inside of it that has clothes and that kind of stuff. And you can get these clothes, but you have to buy them actually. And if you don't pay for them at the cash register, then they'll just disintegrate in your hands when you walk out the door. And lastly, there's the Plaque of Creation, which is a golden plaque located inside of a small outpost here that says, quote, "We've made a magnificent discovery, but also have created a mind so horrifying, so powerful, that it could best the brightest we had to offer. As fate may also have it, we are likely dead. Though to the ones left behind, I have but one thing to say. Please don't fly too close to the sun." Yeah. Whatever that means. I think someone messed up by creating these entities and technology, but who knows? Now I'm going to talk about the specific ones to this level. Now there are 6 types of them. There are humanoid entities, semi-humanoid entities, non-humanoid entities, passive ones, actively malicious entities, or AMEs, and empowered entities. Humanoids are the rarest form to find here, and they seem to almost be human. Not quite, but almost. They have 2 legs and opposable thumbs, but they just wander around and they seem confused. Then there are semi-humanoid ones, and they're common here. They have the upper body or lower body of a human, but the upper or lower of an animal as well. And they can't talk or communicate, and they really seem awkward and unbalanced, almost like they're a mistake. Non-humanoid entities are ones with no humanoid traits. They hardly have any sentience, and they're aggressive. They're kind of like wild animals. Neutral entities are ones that don't just outright attack you the second they see you, and these are also pretty rare, sadly. Now, actively malicious entities, or AMEs, are ones that go out of their way to chase you, and their entire purpose is to attack you. Not very fun. Lastly, there are empowered entities, which are creatures with these supernatural powers that wanderers have come across. They can't really control these powers because they don't seem smart enough to be able to, but they definitely have them. Like, one could float, but they can't control where they float. Or one could lift certain items and not other items. It doesn't make any sense, but that's how it is. And all of these weird creatures were made from that technology in the bunkers, the computers, and the pods, which is really creepy to think about. There are 2 bases here. One is a Meg Outpost, and one is called Van Dyra. Meg Outpost has 3 people that permanently stay there, and the Van Dyra has 300 humanoid and semi-humanoid entities that stay there, which does show that those semi-humanoids and humanoids are capable of forming society, which is really creepy because who knows how further they could develop. To enter this very strange level, you can open an ice-covered door from level 1 to be sent here, and to exit, you can find a donut shop in the middle of town to be sent to level 11, which is what I would try to find instantly to avoid the half-human, half-monster entities here that want to eat my face. That's just